Good morning, everybody. My name is Sharia Burnett of This Woman's Words, and we are back with our virtual reading series just for the month of March this time, celebrating Black Children's Book Week as well as National Reading Month. And so today I have with me the one and only Adrienne Barr, who is very familiar to our community of readers. Ms. Barr has read with us on all the prior seasons of the virtual reading series, and she is back this time to read with us her newest book, which I will let her tell you more about shortly. So before I have a camera, I'm going to talk to you all about a literacy resource highlight. As you all know, we always have some educational information that we show to ensure that our readers are not only getting a story and learning about our author, but that they're also learning about various ways that they can continue their passion for reading and or find literacy resources to help them with their reading skills. And so today's literacy resource highlight is the Alamance County Little Free Libraries. I've talked to you all about the Little Free Libraries in the past, but I wanted to highlight them again because the collection in Alamance County is continuing to grow. And so right now we have a variety of locations, as you see on the map, of Little Free Libraries spread out all throughout the county. And I want to give a special shout out to Melissa Enoch, who recently started a Little Free Library in Green Level a little over a year ago. We also have some Little Free Libraries that are popping up throughout the city of Burlington. A lot of them are at churches, some at parks. And then of course, which we'll get into in future episodes, we have some great Little Free Library type events and styled programming that's happening through Alamance County Public Libraries. So today's literacy resource highlight, of course, is the Alamance County Little Free Libraries. If you're looking for information about the Little Free Libraries, I encourage you to check out the website, which is on the screen, and I will drop that in the comments momentarily. And so now that we have talked about our Little Free Libraries and our literacy resource highlight, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Adrienne Barr. And would you look at there, you say her name and she appears. Adrienne Barr, Amazon teacher, hit and international best-selling author of Dancing with Butterflies, Discovering Mindfulness and Breathing, and My Uncle the Superhero and Uncle Celebration, is a resident of Burlington and a graduate of Walter M. Williams High School, class of 2003, the best class, if I do say so myself, although not all of us are from Williams. Anyway, she is a proud mother who earned a Bachelor of Arts in Communications with a minor in telecommunications at Johnson C. Smith University. Adrienne often jokes that her daughter earned the degree with her, as she had her daughter a few months before she graduated. She is also a 16-year human resources professional, mental wellness advocate, literacy advocate, and a certified meditation practitioner and teacher. She enjoys participating in community service projects, spending time with family and friends, and various other activities in the Triad of North Carolina. During her experience of publishing her first children's book, Adrienne decided she wanted to continue writing and self-publishing. As a result of that newfound passion, she established Elena and Jean Books, LLC, where she will continue to publish children's books, adult books, and highlight the importance of diverse voices and diverse characters. She has partnered with several organizations in her area to increase an interest in childhood reading and reading to classrooms in hopes of showing children of color hope for the future. Ms. Barr has been interviewed by several news stations, newspapers, such as Fox 46, Burlington Times News, Elon Network, and a guest on panels and podcasts, such as Women in the Arena and This Woman's Words. Adrienne is a full believer that there is more than enough room for others at the table and wants to see other people shine. Adrienne does that by mentoring authors and business proprietors in the area. You can follow her on Instagram at @Dreeny_Nicole, which I'll put in the comments, and subscribe to her website at www.authoradriennebarr.com. And without further ado, I am going to turn it over to Adrienne Barr to read My Uncle the Superhero and Uncle Celebration.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. And I first want to thank This Woman's Words for allowing me to come and read My Uncle the Superhero yet again. This time we have illustrations and we are fully published. So let's get into it. My Uncle the Superhero. Good morning, class. Good morning, Mr. Baldwin, replied the class. Mr. Baldwin is my favorite teacher. He has a way of making class so much fun. I wonder what we're going to learn today. Today, we're going to talk about superheroes. A superhero is someone with amazing powers who does amazing things for people. Can you think of someone who is a superhero in your life? What about your father, uncle, teacher, or someone else? Asked Mr. Baldwin. Well, I would have to say my uncle, said Malachi. I have the best uncle ever. Other kids may declare theirs is better, but my uncle is definitely a superhero. He can do amazing things. My uncle served in the Air Force and learned how to fly airplanes. He even went all the way to Arizona. Do you know how far that is? Me neither. I don't know how far it was until he showed me on the map. He was there for a while and would come here to visit and do some incredible things. Like this one time, he came to my grandma's house and noticed that the lights were flickering. He said the wires were all mixed up. So he went to this gray box in the closet. I didn't even know it existed. He said, this box is only for certain adults to touch and told me never to mess with it. My uncle worked in that box and fixed the flickering lights. I didn't know people could do that. That's pretty brave. I know I'm not touching that box. I'll break everything. No, my uncle's a superhero, said Nicole. Every summer, I go to visit my aunt and uncle for a few weeks. Uncle Richard takes me out to the backyard to a patch that is full of nothing but dirt. Then we get the seeds out of the packets and put them in the dirt. We get the water hose and my uncle lets me spray them down. My uncle says we have to talk to the earth and ask it to protect our seeds so they can grow big and strong. I never know what to say, so he does a lot of the talking. Then, like magic, the seeds start to sprout. My uncle is the superhero of our garden. He can talk to anything and make it grow. The class began to get a little rowdy. Everyone started raising their hands so they could share about their uncle. Wait, one at a time, said Mr. Baldwin. Leslie, you can go next. Well, my uncle is a superhero too, said Leslie. He can bring the stars down to the ground. He comes to pick me up sometimes. We go to my absolute favorite park. He shows me how to play basketball. He takes the ball and does some really cool magic moves. He calls them crossovers. The ball goes behind his back, then to the front, and he swishes the ball, weaving it between both of his legs. Then he jumps all the way to the clouds and puts the ball in the basket so fast it looks like a shooting star coming down. I know, said Lee. My uncle is a superhero. He is a math genius. When I'm having trouble with my math work, he comes to my rescue. He takes one look at the equations, then he looks into the air, uses his fingers to write and solve the problem in the air, and talks them out with me so I can understand, just like a teacher uses a whiteboard. Then he solves them in an instant. 25 times 5, carry the 2, equals 125, even the really hard problems. Don then jumped up and started telling the class about his superhero. Well, wait, let me tell you about my superhero, Uncle Walter. My Uncle Walter creates worlds in his minds. Worlds in his minds? What does that even mean? Asked Malachi. Don began to explain. He uses his imagination to create worlds and people. He writes down everything that he created in his head, then shares them with the world. This one story he created was about him time traveling to the future to save the world from aliens. They get their powers from a silver box. He then must fight the aliens because they used to have that silver box and they want it back. Whoa, that's pretty cool, the entire class said. Even Mr. Baldwin was surprised. He had no idea of some of the things that the students' uncles had done. Brandon quickly interrupted the silence by telling about his uncle. Well, my uncle was a superhero too. He drives these big, huge trucks. The trucks are super long and he goes a ton of places, taking things all over the country. Can you imagine keeping a big truck in those skinny lanes on the highway? He is so brave. Mr. Baldwin jumped in and said, yeah, that's true. You have to be pretty brave to drive those trucks. Wait, I don't have an uncle, but I do have a counselor at my after school program who is a superhero to me. Every day he works with some of the kids less fortunate than us, and he helps them to see that there is a life, a better life. He's like a big brother or an uncle to us all. And he starts projects for those neighbors like learning centers, provides lunches, and takes kids on field trips to places they didn't know about. Can your uncle do that? Asked Sage. The class immediately got louder and louder. The kids were arguing back and forth. No, my uncle is a superhero. He sings to me when there are storms. No, my uncle's a superhero. He saved me that one time my mom said we needed to eat more vegetables. He took me to get some real food on the weekend. No, my uncle is a superhero. He helps sick people. And all the students started chiming in. My uncle, my uncle. Finally, Mr. Baldwin said louder than the roaring class, hey, everyone, calm down. Quiet, class, quiet down. Please and thank you. Listen, there are many kinds of superheroes in all of our lives. They are there to help us, whether we realize it or not. A superhero can be your uncle, dad, best friend, teacher, whoever. No one's superpowers are better than the others. The way they touch the world and your life is very special and needed. The end. At the end of the book, we also have Mr. Baldwin's Corner, which has some reflection questions to go over with your kiddos so they can think about the superheroes in their lives and encourage them to show some appreciation towards them or just simply letting them know.
Thank you, Ms. Barr. My second or third time hearing the book, and I think I enjoy something new about it each time. This time, my favorite part was about the fuse box, aka the closet. Touch. As an adult, I still don't touch that closet, and so I understand your thoughts there as well. Talk to us about what makes My Uncle the Superhero different this time than when you read it for us last year.
Last year was still in the making, right? So last time I was really kind of sneakily using you guys as like beta readers just to kind of get an idea how y'all felt about it. It was still going to happen, but the response that I got really helped to encourage me to really push through and to stop being a baby about things and go ahead and publish this thing, which we know I can be sometimes. And there's illustrations. So, you know, when it's on paper, it's in the very preliminary stages of the life cycle. And then once you have those illustrations to go along with your words, it really just makes the difference. It just, I don't know, it creates a different relationship with you and your book because you actually see the images to, you know, and you're able to curate how you want it to look and your vision then is reality. So, you know, and I published it under my own company. So it's my first official book under Elena and Jean Books where I got to press the buttons. And that happened on God's timing too. So, you know, it's been great.
All right. And so talk to us about the importance of having somebody special or being somebody special in a child's life. You may not be an uncle, but you also may not be a parent. So what does that look like? Why is that important?
Well, that's important. Prime example, right? So I chose to go with the uncle theme because I grew up in a single parent home. So my uncles and my cousins, those were those positive male figures in my life. But I've truly been blessed with a variety of people in my life who have helped guide me along the way, whether they have been camp counselors, church members, or even aunties, right? So I have an auntie that's like an earth angel to me, right? And every kid needs someone who is not their parent to help them through this thing called life, right? Even as adults, we have these earth angels or mentors that kind of like really help us to grow, help us to see our full potential, to give us a gentle push when we need that push, or to just boost our confidence and tell us everything that's going to be okay, or even offer some gentle self-correcting, because we're not always right. Or just somebody just play with us, to get us back into that little kid self, even as adults. We all need those people. I feel like that makes children and adults have a more well-rounded experience, right? And I have to throw us in there because we're just taller. Well, some of us are just taller children.
For those of you who do not know, we'll just say Adrienne is not my tallest friend. We'll just say that. Okay.
I did not make the 5 foot club. I am 4'11" and a half until shrinking happens.
And she's serious about that half. Okay. So now I have a third question for Adrienne, and then we'll wrap it up. So recently, as Adrienne knows, our sorority has been participating in the National Library Project, and we've been doing different readings at different schools for Black History Month and for National Reading Month, right? And so thus far, we've been to Oakwood Elementary in Caswell County, we've been to Andrews Elementary in Alamance County, and we've been to Alexander Wilson in Alamance County, and we have one more school that we're going to visit in the coming weeks. And while I was at Andrews, I read Dancing with Butterflies, which is also by Adrienne, and one of the students asked me about illustration. And they said that they had just never really thought, essentially about illustrations. And we got into talking about how that's you have to understand the background colors. You have to make sure that you have the illustrator who matches kind of what you're writing about. So maybe this illustrator is really good at drawing animals, but you need people in your book and what that looks like. And so I know we do a lot of talk on the show about authors, but I wanted to open up the space for Adrienne to talk about illustrators. We have a lot of kids now who are doing a lot with graphics, a lot with AI, and I'm just thinking about the role that literacy can play with people who are more art inclined than writing inclined. And so Adrienne, talk to us about illustrators and their importance in the literacy world.
Absolutely. Well, again, they're the ones that are responsible for bringing your words to what they see, right? To the image in their mind, right? So writers create with words, artists create full stories that don't need words with just illustrations. Color is important because it helps kind of dictate, and I hate to go to the cliche word, but it helps dictate a vibe, right? So like, for instance, my first book, I kind of went with pastel colors because it's about mental wellness. So it's something that you want a gentler touch with. Whereas my Uncle the Superhero, right, it's something that's a little bolder. So I wanted to go with the traditional RGB color scheme. But they consider all of that. They consider the background. So it's the connection to words to being on screen, right? Except it's in a book. And it's amazing what it is they do, right? Because as a writer, you're thinking that every little detail that you've written, every scene that you might see in your head or would want to be an illustration, it might not exactly be the best part to capture several things. It's amazing what they do because of how long it can take. Their imagination really does play a factor. He brought up a great point. Not all illustrators are the best at drawing people of color. So when you're looking for an illustrator, like that's important too, just to see what work they've done previously and just to see if that fits what you feel would really best resonate with your audience. So it does take a little bit of digging on the writer's part to figure out who would be the best person for that. But I give my illustrators pretty much full creativity within a certain scope. I only get really finicky when it comes to complexions because I want those complexions to be right because those are important, right? Like put some respect on our complexions. So that's the only space I get really finicky about, but I let my illustrator just take off with it because I know what she is capable of. Because she is gifted, and it truly does have to be a gift, but you also have to make sure that they're not limiting themselves either.
So I hope that all of our watchers who love to draw, who love to color, think about the role that that can play in literacy and think about how that could be a future career path, right? And so I know that some of us do all types of things and we don't think about them as being a career because it's not the traditional careers that we're taught about. But if you love to draw, then maybe that's something that you should consider. Because as Adrienne and I both have talked about on social media extensively, there are a limited number of books about children of color. And so if you are in fact a child of color, who better to show and demonstrate the beauty of your experience than you? So I encourage you all to consider that. Maybe you're not somebody who really gets that caught up in words. Maybe, you know, you enjoy reading, but as you're reading, you're picturing what things look like in your head. There's a whole lane that you could be in for stuff like that. And so I encourage you to explore what illustrators do. Google is definitely a good friend, but I also know that if you were to reach out to Miss Adrienne Barr, she could give you some information about illustrators and people that you could contact to learn more. And so speaking of reaching out to Adrienne, I have put all of her contact information in the chat. So you have links to her books, to her website, to her Instagram page, and to her author Facebook page. I encourage you to follow, like, and support Adrienne. We want to thank Adrienne for being here with us today. We also want to thank her for sharing her gift of words with so many children so that they are able to see themselves and their families and experiences in her books. And we want to thank you all for being here today. You are part of what makes the virtual reading series keep coming back. So thank you to everyone who's reached out to me, asking about reading lists, asking about books. I encourage you all to tell those families and friends who are looking for books to purchase to consider purchasing My Uncle the Superhero. I think that it would be a wonderful gift for a child to have and possibly a great gift for them to give because maybe they want to show their uncle that they've been their superhero, and how better to do that than to share this book with them. So we will see you all next week. We have a new author coming to the stage. Make sure to check out the flyer. It's already posted on social media, but I will post it again as a reminder. And we look forward to seeing you on Saturday at 10 a.m. right here on Facebook Live and or on Zoom. Y'all have a great day. Bye.